The years immediately following the Second World War were quite frugal. It was a time of rebuilding and making sure everything got back on track. Though, once the babies started booming, it became a bit more of an aspirational time. Come 1948, Sunbeam Talbot decided to release this, and it was the perfect marriage of simple mechanicals from the Talbot 10 and a brand new style for a time that was moving forward very quickly indeed. Let's take this one out for a drive and see how it does. So here we are, Sunbeam Talbot 90. Now, the Talbot 90 represented a bit of a new dawn for the Roots Group. I know, having said that in the intro, I should probably touch upon the fact that, mechanically speaking, this is very similar to the actual Talbot 10 and the 2-litre that came before it. Now, that Talbot 10 was released all the way back in 1938, and as I'm sure you can imagine, that's a rather inconvenient time for a British car manufacturer to be releasing a car. The 90 was available in one of 3 body styles when released. You had the standard 4-door saloon, the light 4-door sports saloon, and the drophead coupe, which is a nice little convertible option, this being the standard 4-door saloon. Under the bonnet, it was pretty advanced for its time actually. It had overhead valves, which was a nice little upgrade from, especially a lot of the cars at the time were still using flathead designs. It was just the Mark I in 1948, which was very quickly superseded by the Mark II, which came only 2 years later. That Mark II came with a bit of an uplift in power. It went up to the 2267cc inline 4 with speeds of up to apparently more than 90 miles per hour, which for, you know, the 50s was pretty quick. Corner, come on, throw it in. Door handles. It also had independent front suspension up from the beam axle and quad leaf springs of the Mark I, so it handled a little bit better, and obviously it's still a car from the 50s, so there's not a lot happening on centre, but once it's in the corner itself, as I'm sure you just saw, it's not actually that bad. As a matter of fact, the standard Mark II Motor Magazine managed to get it up to 80 miles per hour, and it sprinted to 60 in just over 20 seconds, which, not bad for the time. The Mark IIA was released in 1952. It ditched those wheel spats on the rear, which is a bit of a shame, but it also came with another uplift in horsepower up to 73, a top speed of more than 90. You'd be pretty brave to be able to do that in one of these, and it came with bigger brakes, which helped Sterling Moss to take one on to place second at the Monte Carlo Rally. It was also driven by Jim Clark, so this car could arguably say it's got quite a bit of racing heritage behind it. The 90 was targeted towards the family man with a bit of a sporting edge, hence some of those sporting credentials it later gained. So how does it drive? Slowly is how it drives. I've had a few cars behind me as I've been driving today, and it can be a little bit intimidating being out in the road in something a little bit quaint like this, but it's still, it's nice, it's comfortable in here. The dash is quite Spartan, granted, but again, it's for its time. Finishes are actually very nice. These seats, very comfortable. The suspension rides remarkably well. That primary ride is going to be a little bit wallowy, but it really soaks up the smaller bumps in the road with great ease. Steering, it loads up nicely. It's going to be a steering box, so you're not going to get anything sporty or super responsive out of it, but it's still a very nice thing indeed. Coming back to interior for a second, on the Mark III, you may have got a rev counter, which was an option. If you've seen Steph's video from iDriver Classic, you'll have seen that hers had a sort of blanking plate, which is just a little Sunbeam logo in a circle, which looked rather nice, but that's where the rev counter is meant to be. But finishing's very nice. These lovely vinyl door cards match the red seats, and we have these really quite awesome bolt action door handles to open the door with. We also have our sunroof, which is nice. I might just open that up for us, hope it doesn't get too windy, but it's lovely. You have some nice the wind in your hair should you desire it, and it's really just a nice place to be. Now, what this car represents for its time is a melding of what was, at least when it came out, slightly rudimentary technology. It was still using running gear from a car from a decade earlier, but it married that with a new body style, which was, as described by some magazines, very beautiful, and it still holds up today. It's a very nice thing to look at, and it's nice inside. I drove a Rover 10 Sports Saloon a few months ago back at Silverstone. We had our Rover day. I didn't review it, Joe did that, but I got to drive it around a bit for the B-roll, and that was arguably easier to drive, especially considering it had a floor-mounted gear lever. This car has a column shift, and some Mark IIIs were offered with a floor-mounted option, but not the case here. That was a very rare spec, actually, so if you can find one of those, all the more power to you. I'm now going down a hill here, so I've got to make sure I make good use of these brakes. But again, going around corners is quite easy. Oh, there goes a lockup. This car was truly representative of its time. It was a melding of the frugality of the late 40s and the optimism of the early 50s. And it married together both of those concepts to form what was an accessible yet aspirational classic. Even today, they're not too bad to buy, not too bad to own. Those three versions of the car really exemplified the time, in that very early on it was a very simple mechanical thing with good looks on the outside, but as it develops through its life, it went on to actually have some proper driving prowess and some real racing pedigree with the aforementioned Sterling Moss and Jim Clark connections. So really, it kind of did everything, especially for Roots Group, who were in need of a bit of revitalisation at the time. And revitalisation they did get with this car. Now, magazines at the time did note that it was rather difficult to get this car into reverse, which I'm now going to try. I think it's supposed to be down and back. That's what I was told, at least. No, that's forwards. Maybe it's up and back? No. Reverse. Way, I'm free. So, if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing, be it a young person being completely and utterly foxed by an older car, or perhaps an older person being completely foxed by a slightly more modern classic, then by all means hit that subscribe button. Ring the notification bell if you'd like to see these videos as they're released, and give us a like, because why not? I like this video. Oh gosh, round the corner we go. Not that bad, really not that bad. So, with that, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon indeed. Bye bye now. Got my silly gloves on again. That's the thing, I was wearing leather gloves in a video and someone said that OJ wanted them back. At least mine fit.